Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Reyes Fournier, and welcome to Advanced Addictions Counseling. This is your Unit 1 video. I will be making little videos for every unit, talking to you about stuff, providing you some resources to answer your discussion questions, things for you to think about. So this is us, and let's jump into what we're doing for week 1. Hopefully you've introduced yourself already. Hopefully I've already reached out and said hello back. This week, like most weeks in addiction, we're going to talk about your understanding of the etiology of addiction. This is once again going over the addiction models. I found a really cool article. Actually, it's not an article, it's like a paper on addiction models, but this is more of how we address addiction or addiction theories and how we address them from the psychological perspective. This is not societal, but psychological. So you could see here there's a lot of different kinds of what we would call therapies and theoretical approaches to addiction. They also go over the different models. Now, here's another one that I found that I really enjoyed, and it starts out by talking about the moral model. Now, if you remember anything from your first addiction class, you talked about the moral model. The moral model basically says that the people who have use disorders have some sort of moral failing, and that because of that moral failing, they are unable to control themselves around drugs and alcohol, or processes, behaviors, and things like that. The moral model is what we would call historical. One of the things that hopefully you'll get from this class is that you need to have a historical perspective to treatment, because despite the fact that we've made so many advances in psychology, in neuropsych and things like that, understanding how the brain works and understanding that it isn't moral failing, that even the most moral people can have use disorders. We still have a large part of our society that thinks that you could just say no and that would be fine and that would fix everything. And obviously, we know better. The next model I want to mention is the temperance model, which isn't much different from the moral model. In the temperance model, you are talking about having a lack of will. The temperance model is this idea that you are already broken to start with, and you already have a lack of control in yourself that you should never begin. So this is the just say no model. The temperance model is exactly that just say no idea. And we know how well that worked in the 80s. Most of us will recognize the disease model. The disease model was introduced by the people who started the 12 steps. So Bill W. and Dr. I don't remember now, but this is where we got this idea that they have that use disorders are a form of disease. Now, when they came up with this idea, they did not have what we have now. They did not have genetic markers identified. They did not have fMRIs to see what part of the brain lights up every single time you engage that thought process to be able to use. What we know now is that, yes, the brain very much is part of this problem in the individual, and that the drugs and or alcohol and or activity hijack parts of our brain, the parts of our brain that we need to feel joy and pleasure and pain relief and the good feelings that we count on to get us through the day are hijacked by this use disorder. So the disease model, very important model to understand. Now, please understand that I will be linking all of these so that you will be able to see this. And then, of course, most of us will probably adhere to this idea of the psychological model of understanding addiction. Sure, we understand that, yes, there is a disease process to this. Yes, we understand that there is a part of our brain that isn't under our control because it has been hijacked by this substance. But we also understand, as living, breathing human beings who have an understanding of even basic psychology, that people with use disorders tend to have difficulty expressing their emotions. We understand that there is a question of esteem and how they feel about themselves, and they have a history of troubled relationships or even trauma in their background. So the psychological model must not be discounted. And then, of course, you have that catch-all, just in case I didn't mention it, the biopsychosocial spiritual model that has every single model in there like a big old sandwich. The difference with the biopsychosocial spiritual model is that it doesn't really include a moral aspect. The spiritual aspect is this idea of losing connection. And as someone who worked in the field for many, many, many years, I do strongly believe that connection is so important. One of the things that you will find, and many of you who already work in the industry know this already, that people with use disorders lack connection, that they lack support, they lack that feeling of belongingness. For some, that means turning to some form of spirituality or religion. For others, it's about communing with other people and connecting with other people. We can't discount that part of us, we might want to call this all fluffy and whatever, but what we do know is that people with strong relationships tend not to relapse. So there is something to this, and pretending that there isn't is not in our benefit if we're looking at treating these issues. All right, so what do we need to know about advanced addictions counseling? That our seminars are on Monday, right? Am I right about that? Yes, Mondays at 7 p.m. And I hate having seminars at the end of the week for classes, but this way we could have livelier discussions. I do expect you guys to participate in seminar, asking questions, arguing with me if you want to. You're going to lose, but hey, no, I'm only kidding. But I expect you to participate. That's how you're going to learn. I expect you to ask questions. I expect you to be confused. I expect you to challenge your own ideas. What I just wrote to someone in the introduction was that I'm planning on challenging all of you in your preconceived idea of who you are and who you're going to be in a counseling setting. And if we do not challenge ourselves, if we do not question ourselves, if we do not change while we are becoming counselors, then you're not really participating in the counseling process, because the process isn't just for our clients, it's for us as well. We should be learning from every client, and we should be growing from every client. This isn't as, we're not going in there as experts. So we'll talk about this more during seminar. I look forward to meeting all of you on Monday. And if you have any questions, know that you can email me at any time. My phone number is provided in my introduction. So if you need to call me, text me, I am available to discuss whatever you need to discuss. This is all about facilitating your success. So let's make this happen and let's have a great term. I'll see you on Monday night. Good night.